Hi guys, this is an update on my Syngonium coral or coral vine, and this is what she looks like. Um, I transplanted her, I would say, not too long ago, maybe 1 to 2 months ago, from a 6-inch pot to an 8-inch pot. I added more soil, and the top part is earthworm casings. She sits directly in front of an east-facing window with no obstructions outside of the window. She is currently being watered every 9 days, and obviously that's just a guide, and sometimes that can change if ever she might need more or might need less. I make sure when I do water her is that there is no water sitting down here, because she has just been transplanted. And so for me personally, from personal, my own experience, is it depends on the plant. It usually takes about several weeks to possibly the most is 2 months when you transplant, in regards to them trying to adapt. So with that, I used to water her much more frequently due to a smaller pot, and she did, her roots did go through from the drainage in the bottom. So now she has a lot more room to adjust and fill that, that obviously doesn't have any roots yet. That sometimes when you do that, the watering schedule would definitely not be the same, as well as the watering volume right away. And what I would suggest is just to pay attention, very, very close attention. And to me, I always, when it's a freshly transplanted plant, I give it a few months before really thinking, oh, they got acclimated now and they're really doing great in the new pot and all that good stuff. But seasons change too, and unfortunately, I don't live in a tropical paradise in which it is consistently sunny majority of the year. I live in Zone 5, or I also live in the Midwest or in Indiana, which majority of the year really is somewhat dark. My ceiling light does have plant bulbs, but she's not very close to that. I would say about close to 10 feet away. So it's very, very far. It's just actually the light has dual purpose. That's actually, for everybody around. And I feel like having brighter light in the darker days actually does help with my PCS. It also does help with like mental grogginess and like anxiety and depression for me. So it's dual purpose. And of course, my plants make me very, very happy. So it does help a lot. If you're very interested in what I do provide in regards to my water mix, it's always in the description section along with my social media accounts. So if you want to connect with me in my other platforms, feel free to do that. Let's just give her a little twirl. If you haven't seen the first vlog for this particular plant and the unboxing, I use just regular potting soil. I would not recommend Scott's or Miracle-Gro because those gave me pests and gnats, and I just don't like them. If you can pick a different brand, I would try something different. For me, the brand that I do use, which is Schultz, I really, really love. It's much more fast draining and it doesn't retain as much moisture. It's not very clogging, I think, versus Miracle-Gro's soil, in my personal opinion. And it works really well for me, so I really, really love it, and it's still my current favorite. And I can pick it up locally, so I would suggest you kind of look around. Another brand I would suggest is Black Gold, if you can find it, or Fox Farms. A lot of people have really, great success with them, but it just depends on what you would prefer, really. So that's just what I use. And from what I've also noticed is that they can tend to truly get thirsty. A lot of people were saying when I first got Syngoniums for the first time, I had no experience with them. They were saying that they water them sparingly and all that stuff. Everybody's environment is going to be very different, from slightly different to very different. I would suggest you really pay attention to your plants. So she's doing really well, but if majority of her leaves droop like this, that's underwatered. So what I would suggest, probably water a little bit more frequently, or maybe add the volume just a teeny bit, or do both. But make sure when you do water that the top is not damp in any means. And probably for me, what I do, because the top has earthworm castings, and earthworm castings, if you don't know, do hold a ton of moisture. So that can be kind of a guide if you are putting too much volume in your plant, and if you put earthworm casings on the top. That really kind of helps me, especially when I transplant a new plant. It gives me a guide, because when you transplant a new plant, the requirements are completely different from before transplanting. So that does help me, but that's for me. If you want to do that, go right ahead. It helps me for sure. Anything helps. So what I typically do is I just put my finger in there. See that? See how deep I went? And of course, in the bottom, look at that. It sticks. So obviously it's still really damp and wet in there. I mean, not like clogged or anything, but as you can see, my finger is just covered. And because of that, I know for a fact that this plant doesn't need to be watered yet. She was just recently watered, so I also know that. That is how I usually test it for this plant. I used to have, I still have it, a moisture meter, and for whatever reason, it just didn't work out for me. There are different methods to do it. Some people are like amazing. They're like completely perfectly matched with moisture meters. I sadly am not. I just use my finger, and I don't really mind. I just rinse it off, and it's good for you anyway. There's something in the soil that actually produces happy chemicals in your brain that makes you, makes you smile, make you happy and all that. So I like it. I like that too. Helps for my mental state. So I'm just going to twirl her again. If you haven't seen other videos for this particular plant, the previous one, obviously this is an update. When I purchased this plant, this was actually 2 small plants, and now they have grown. I always prefer my plants to be more of in a snug situation, because that's from my personal experience and other people's. From what I've noticed, if you get too big too quickly, they have a really, really high chance of being overwatered. So they'll die really, really quickly. Overwatering is probably one of the quickest things that can actually kill a plant, and it's really, really, it can be very, very hard to turn around. Underwatering is not as bad. I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but it's a little bit easier for the plant to come back versus overwatering. So it's another tip. Again, I'm just going to summarize. This sits in front of an east-facing window, currently being watered every 9 days. It is in regular potting soil, nothing special. The watering mix is in the description section, including all the measurements that I do use. I do use fertilizer and supplements, and it can be extensive. I guess that's about it. Also, I don't use distilled water. I don't use tap water. I do use reverse osmosis. So I hope this vlog helps you out in regards to Syngoniums, especially this variety. What I have noticed is that Syngoniums are really, really beautiful, and that's currently my most favorite species. And also, different varieties can kind of slightly have different needs. So This is my beautiful coral, and I am very, very itchy and antsy to want to propagate her because I want her to be fuller, and I also want to have other pots filled with coral. But unfortunately, so far, I'm not there yet. And again, if you haven't seen my first one, try to check that out. She used to be really, really tiny. So patience really is essential. What I've noticed too with the coral, it is not as fast growing as my gold butterfly and my other greener ones. For whatever reason, I have like a brain fart. I can't really think of the other varieties. I really, really love Syngoniums, and this is it. Thank you guys so much for all of the beautiful, wonderful, encouraging words. You guys are wonderful, beautiful people. Thank you guys so much. Keep smiling and have a wonderful rest of your day. And, oh, before I forget, anything to do with this particular plant, comments or anything, let me know down in the comments section. I love hearing from you guys all the time. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.